Coming up on today's show, man's best friend is put to the ultimate test. But does man's best friend deserve a treat? We'll find out when we break down Good Boy. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, how are you, buddy?
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. Let's get into this, right? So, Good Boy. Okay. So, Good Boy, viral movie of the month, right? Like, I think if you've seen the teaser, you've seen that maybe it's coming to Shudder, you've seen that it stars a dog, and that's basically it. This is basically, if remember Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cartoon Network show,
Yep.
this is basically that, but live action and serious. It's a dog whose owner moves into this farmhouse that his grandpa owned, and there's something going on. There's something in the house that only the dog can see, and we're following the dog as we see what's going on, and that's pretty much the movie.
Yeah, that is pretty much the synopsis of the
Right.
movie. Tex, this movie looked interesting when we previewed the trailer on one of our previous coming attraction shows. It had a cool gimmick to it, right? It had
Yes.
a cool concept to it. But we've seen this stuff before in the horror world where there is a gimmick that everyone wants to see. It happened with a violent nature when we watched a slasher just walk his way through a forest for about 90 minutes, right?
Right.
And we were like, will this suffer the same fate as a violent nature? The trailer showed at least that you were getting something a little different. We were actually getting the dog as a character and not like straight up POV, which we said here at the morgue, oh, okay, this we can kind of dig, this we can do with, and we can see how this goes. But as Tex mentioned, there is not a lot going on in this movie.
Yeah.
And that that it's unfortunate, that sucks, because you sit through this thing and you want something to happen because you start actually falling in line with the protagonist, the dog, right? And I believe watching this movie, you fall kind of in love a little bit with our protagonist, Indy, and you actually want to see Indy do some things and get into situations and obstacles and conflicts. But again, as Tex mentioned, there is not a whole lot going on here, folks. And as we break down this movie for you guys, again, spoiler free, of course, we'll give you guys little tidbits here and there about whether this thing is really worth it or not. Tex, where do you think we should start off here? Because the jumping point here is either what are we going to talk about? Are we going to jump into the the dog of it all, right? Are we going to
Yeah.
the horror
I
of it all?
I
It
think that's the best place to start, because with while I'm joking around and calling it a Courage the Cowardly Dog live action, that's kind of what it is, and you kind of feel that through the movie itself. But also, like, just starting out with the positive, right? Like, let's do a compliment sandwich here, because Good Boy does deserve like those compliments, at least on that level, right?
yes, agreed.
While it fails in some areas we'll get into, the positives are like promising. The positives are promising when it comes to horror as a genre itself, right? And as what you can do with it, what kind of stories you can tell. Like, because like Arturo said, we've mentioned gimmick movies in the past, and whether or not they've actually worked is a whole other thing. Like, this is a violent nature, movies like Skinamarink, where it's all gimmick, and it's like the gimmick is like, oh, you're supposed to feel this way, you're supposed to feel like you wasted your time, yada yada yada, et cetera, right? And so
That's
in
very
Good
true with
Boy,
Skinamarink, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, like, and with Good Boy, the gimmick is like you're seeing this through the perspective of a dog, and like Arturo said, it's not POV shots. It's very this movie is very smart in the way it does things because
Yes.
it's not. It's still like, yes, he still very much is the point of view, but it's framed in a way, and the movie frames Indy in a way where he is legitimately the main character. You never see like the human owner's face in full, and like you kind of get like dog perspective on the rest of the world, right?
Yeah.
There are moments that jump in time. There's a little bit like disconnected stuff like that, because it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like how a dog would live. There's one scene in particular where Indy's like looking out the outside the window because his owner leaves, right? And then it's set during the day, and then it quickly cuts to night, and he hasn't moved. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense for a dog, right?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that that this movie does. It's very smart in that every time we're following the dog, and every time there's like a close up of Indy, you get that emotion that the movie's trying to make you have, right? Like I would argue that like it's tough having a non-human person, like, or a non-human character, like emote properly for a horror movie, right? Like
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do with an animal, but like I give this movie credit for like really giving Indy like at least enough of that emotional resonance to like really sell it as a main character, right?
Yes. So I definitely agree with you that the indie of it all, honestly, is very impressive. And
Yes.
it's something that has to be credited and has to be heralded because it's just a huge technical feat. As Tex was saying, having a non-human being as your protagonist can lead to a lot of difficult situations, especially when it's not a CG character, right?
Right.
Indy is all real, all flesh and blood dog. And this movie in particular, the production side of things, honestly, is my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
It's just a technical feat, as I mentioned before. They shot this movie in about over 400 days, and it was solely because it was the director, his partner, and the dog just filming scenes whenever they could. And they framed Indy, as Tex mentioned, perfectly as the protagonist in this movie. And by using what, film theorists call the Kuleshov effect, which is where you would frame a character and then frame something else. That way you can connect the two images and convey a certain emotion, as Tex was saying before. So this happens all the time in this movie, and it's done brilliantly because there is no way you would get any kind of emotive response from this movie if it wasn't done this way. And this is
Yeah.
why I think, as a horror fan, it's definitely something to be proud of because it is a labor of love in this situation because the fact that you're working with an animal that doesn't read lines or doesn't have any lines either, I should say. It doesn't talk, it doesn't really respond the way a professional actor would. And the fact that we got what we got here is impressive, and it is one of the reasons why this movie needs to be seen if you are a horror fan, because as horror fans, let's be real folks, we have seen a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah.
And
There's so much.
fortunately, this one is only 74 minutes or 75 minutes or so, something like that. But just to get into a bit more of the story side of things here, right?
Because that's where the negatives start, right? Like it's like Arturo was saying, like it's impressive what this movie is able to do with Indy, but unfortunately there is a ceiling, right?
Yeah.
Like there is an inevitable ceiling that you hit because your
Yeah.
character can't do things a traditional character would, right? Because like in like I keep mentioning Courage the Cowardly Dog. In Courage the Cowardly Dog, like he gets away with so much because he's a cartoon dog that can speak or that can communicate and does like stuff, right? To stuff to sell a story that you can build things with. And
Yeah,
that's
Courage can point out dangers and, like, run
yeah,
around like a madman. But here, like I said, we weren't dealing with that. It's not a CG character we have here. It's an
yeah,
actual
yeah,
living dog.
and because of that, there are limits to the story that can be told, which is the unfortunate part of the thing, right? Where it's like, yo, there's you can tell that they're trying to layer some kind of ghost story. This maybe it's like a curse, maybe it's something else, without getting into spoilers, you kind of don't need to, but that's kind of the vibe, right? Of like, is what there is something supernatural definitely going on that this dog notices, but there's only so much the movie can reveal because the dog itself isn't investigating to that extent, isn't
Yeah.
isn't really drawing out that the need to tell that story, right? And it's tough because you want to give it credit for like being mysterious in that way, but also here it kind of feels like, oh, it felt like the limit of having a dog as a main character, right? Like it felt like there's only so much they could do when it comes to the horror, right? Because like with only one character in the movie, essentially, with only Indy himself, there's only so much you can do to keep raising the stakes throughout the film. In a horror film like The Strangers Chapter 2, which we've previously reviewed, they kind of raise the stakes by just murdering people like left or right. But here
Yeah.
it's like you just have a dog in a house, and you can only do so much to a dog. And it's like I guess, right, like Arturo can back me up on this. In horror, when the dog, like, of course, going in, there's that overlying fear of like, oh, dogs in horror movies, that's kind of like, oh, that's the point of no return for some of these poltergeists, right? Where it's like, oh,
Yeah, Tex pretty much said it all, honestly, about the story. So I'm definitely gonna piggyback off what Tex said just now. They try to give you somewhat of a narrative to follow here,
right,
right? But what happens in this movie, because of the kind of gimmick you have here, the movie pretty much settles on just focusing on Indy, right?
yeah,
And like Tex mentioned, the stuff that's around Indy, causing what's supposed to be the conflict, it's not really fully fleshed out or drawn out, as Tex mentioned. And
right,
that's kind of where the downfall of this movie is. Because we're following this, cute ass dog around this movie, we're still following him around the movie.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and the movie around him is not that good. And
It
there's a lot
it's
of
not,
questions
yeah.
that get brought up as to what exactly is going on here. Is it a haunting? Is it a possession? Does the guy
Is
know
yeah,
what's going on?
is the owner just like an awful dude? Because
Uh,
that's part of
No,
like,
no, no. That's not even a question. The owner is an awful dude on top of that.
yeah,
Uh,
like
it,
that characterization is
so
bad too, right?
Yeah,
Like it,
so it makes it really hard for you to even like the human aspects of this
yeah,
movie?
to get fully invested, right? Where it's like, yo, it really puts like too high of a bar to like care about the guy in the movie outside of like the dog, right? And
Yeah.
you know and it's funny, like one of the things that came out when this movie like was hitting, one of like the quotes was like, oh, super heartbreaking ending. And like, no spoilers, but it's like, yo, I was picturing, I'm sure many people hear Good Boy, you see the trailer, you see the premise, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, heartbreaking really can only mean one thing, right? And the movie doesn't do that, but like it's also not heartbreaking because you kind of, there's so little to invest before that, like before
Yeah.
the ending, and
I mean,
that's the issue.
I'm not gonna say that for some people it might not be heartbreaking, but that's hyperbole, honestly. And they could have gone in a heartbreaking way. They could
Right.
have finished this movie in a way that would have been like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming. And they could have righted some wrongs with the ending. Again, this movie's about this dog and pretty much a night in this dog's life. And you don't get much, man. And it's unfortunate. It really is. It really is
Yeah.
unfortunate because there are little elements here that, if executed well and done right, story wise and development wise, this would have been a pretty solid movie, especially with the length. It could have stayed the same length. You didn't even have to do crazy stuff to it in order to fix the story they were having here. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, we don't really connect with the human in this movie. And then there's another human. There's like two other humans in this movie, the guy's sister and then this other neighbor that's there, and there really isn't a connection there either. One, because he's
Yeah.
just a jerk to his sister, and then two, he doesn't really have a relationship with the neighbor that's there. He just knows him from when he was a little kid.
On top of that, like characterization as an owner, like, as someone who also owns a dog, and like I get it, right? Like I'm like, yo, I love my dog, like to that extent, right? To like on a child level. So like I totally get, people are like, oh, I'm a dog mom, I'm a dog dad or whatever. Like, yeah, it's corny, but I get the like I get it. And this is what this movie's trying to get to, right? But like on that level, if I didn't know that the guy in this movie was that dog's actual owner, I would never be able to see that on screen, because for whatever reason, they like made this guy so just so anti everything. That's like,
Yeah,
yo,
because but you see, because this again, what we say all the time, it boils down to the story, right?
yeah, it's so needlessly complicated with this
Yes.
guy's whole situation, right? Like, because there's like a reason why he goes to the abandoned farmhouse in the first place, when it should have just been a dude going to a farmhouse in the first place, right?
It
Like,
could have just been him. Hey, I'm gonna go see Grandpa's old place because
yeah, because
it's
grandpa
ours now. I
died.
inherited it or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
and but
there were very easy avenues to get to the location and stir shit up. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and even before then, there's like, there is a montage where you see, like, I'm sure actual home videos of him like playing with the dog,
Yeah.
but it's like, yo, like there's not enough of that in the movie itself, right? There's not
Yes.
enough of him being a good owner to Indy, and like being and like loving this dog to the point where if the two have to be separated by whatever means, like then we would care. Just wrapping my end of things up, uh, you know, Arturo, the way we rate things here, right? You got your pay for it, which is go immediately to the theater, go check it out, go pay for it, pay a trial on some streaming service that has it, watch it as soon as you can. There is wait for it, which is, oh, you can wait till it's like streaming at home, or like streaming to where it's most convenient for you to watch it. You're not missing out. And then there's the self-explanatory stay away from it, which is like, you're not missing out on it if you stay away. So Arturo, I'll throw it to you first. How are
Yeah.
you feeling?
I'm feeling not too great about this one, Tex. Again, I am very happy that this movie was the length it was, and even then, it just felt really long. It felt like I was watching Skinamarink again, Tex, and
Oof,
that
oof.
experience was not great, and this experience was not great either. I definitely said earlier that you need to see it for the technical stuff, but you don't need to see it for the technical stuff.
Wow. So
Um,
full on stay away from it,
yeah,
right? Oh wow.
it's
Okay.
it doesn't do anything, man. Like movie wise, it doesn't really do anything. You have this technical feat, yes, of spending 400 something days filming 70 minutes of a dog doing not much. Cool,
Yeah.
you know. I'm glad you were able to edit that together. You
Glad
know,
you made it, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
to make it a movie. But honestly, that is
kudos to
the
you. Yeah.
yes. Kudos and props to you. Your comeuppance, sir. You ended up in a movie theater. That is your reward. But that's it. It's gonna pop up on Shutter at some point in October, probably later. I wouldn't even waste 70 minutes watching this thing. Tex, what did you think about Good Boy?
So I would not go as far as stay away from it. I'm being just a little kinder, but not like too much kinder. Like
Because you're a
I'm
dog
at the
person, man.
yeah,
Because you're a doggy dad. That's why,
yeah.
bro.
So like that's why I give it the dog bump of like, yo, because I really liked Indy, and I get the appeal of the movie, but also yes, I 100% agree with everything you've said. Like, this is straight up like, it's 70 minutes. It's an experiment more so than like a film
It,
itself.
it's
Yeah,
not scary.
yeah, it's not scary in the traditional sense. It's not scary in the in the art sense either. Like, there's the thing in question just kind of is lackluster. The story itself doesn't really have enough to latch onto, because it hits that ceiling of like, you have a non-human character. There's only so much you can do through like exposition and kind of like outside sources and stuff. Like, there's just like, and unfortunately, there are times where they kind of have to push that even further. of like we start like spoilers, we'll see like dog visions and stuff. Like we'll see inside Indy's head, and to me, those when I'm like, okay, you're pushing outside of the bounds of the
It's like
format here. You
you're
know,
stretching it a little bit.
yes, like this is too outside of the bounds of the format. Like I would love to believe that my dog can like think on that level, but like no, we know, right? And it's like, yo, like that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, like that's pretty much what the issue is it only goes so far, and 70 minutes you can watch it, you cannot, and I think you'll be fine.
But you see though, Tex, at the end of the day, that's a pretty big issue, you know?
Yeah,
That
that's
the
it's
story makes this pretty unwatchable though,
yeah,
you
like
know?
go if you saw it in theaters, cool. Like support indie horror,
Yeah, for sure. Go
indie
support the
horror.
movies out there.
Like joke indie horror, right? Like this is,
But
but like
love it.
yeah, like but yeah, support indie horror, support local horror in theaters. Like see horror movies in theaters when you can, because that is something we'll always champion here. But like we did our service. Like we saw this movie in
Yes, we
theaters, but
we supported independent film, folks.
yeah, but there's
And we
only
did
so
it so
far.
you guys don't have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. That doesn't mean we have to tell you to go see it, right? It's like,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness, folks. So yeah, this one will be dropping on Shutter at some point during the spooky season. If they know what's good for them, they should be dropping it during the spooky season. And don't forget, folks, you can check us out anywhere on the socials. Go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We would highly appreciate it. And don't forget, folks, you can also catch the Morgue on the pods. We have not forgotten about you guys. We are still there on the pods, going strong, and you can catch those episodes anywhere you get your streams. And folks, last thing, always remember it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.